Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. This week, Jim and I have to break down everything that's going on. We've got the Lynx, the Twins in playoff races. We got the Vikings starting. We've got lots of stuff going on. We also talked about really delving in briefly into the Gaudreau brothers tragedy, just to put a little final punctuation mark on that heartbreak. But we have a lot coming up in the show, so please tune in.
Yes, this is Dawn of Sports. She's Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. This is TalkNorth.com, one of our many great sports shows at TalkNorth.com. You know the drill. Jeff Diamond, John Krasinski, Michael Russo, Kevin Gorg, Anthony LaPanta, Roy Smalley, Lavelle Neal, Mike Grimm, Randy Shaver, Dawn Mitchell. We have the best in the business on the network. Please check them out. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. I want to thank longtime sponsor Rudy Luther Toyota. Also, welcome Natrium. I love the Natrium products. We'll tell you more about them. Thank another longtime sponsor, Minnesota Masonic Charities. All right, Dawn, we're going to get to a lot of fun stuff, but I'm assuming the Gaudreau story really hit you hard.
It did. And yes, I'm a Boston College grad and I know people still very much involved in the team, but Johnny Hockey, he was the shining star of Boston College when it comes to hockey. And there's a lot of great hockey players that came out of there. A lot of them I know personally, but it just breaks my heart. And I know people have been talking about this for a while now, but you and I really haven't had a chance to open it up. And then when you just go to the depths of it in terms of not only were they there for a family event, their sister's wedding, coming back from, I think it was the rehearsal before the rehearsal dinner, just the whole thing, but leaving two children under the age of 2, and then Matthew's wife is pregnant. The heartbreak. I don't know how a family recovers from that, but I want to emphasize the positive. Johnny's wife, Meredith, has been a beacon of strength, waiting a few days, understandably, but then going to social media and on Instagram. She's even apologizing for all the posts that she does, but they're beautiful. I don't know where people find the strength in that kind of sorrow to post beautiful posts and to uplift others and to thank others while she's going through it. So I just really wanted to give like her just some, I don't know them personally, but just a thank you for how she's letting other people grieve along with the family. And Jim, here we've had Kyrie Jackson, again, another innocent person killed by a suspected drunk driver. We just had the St. Louis Park, the Park Tavern, the drunk driver that went in there and killed 2 people and injured numerous. Like, just when we thought this country was getting maybe past the past horrors of it, it seems to me it's getting worse, but it just might be because it's in my sphere right now. I don't know how you think about that.
Yeah, I don't know. The problem is that most PSAs, most campaigns designed to raise awareness, they reach people who already know not to drive drunk. I don't know how you reach the kind of people who are willing to get hammered and get behind the wheel. They're beyond our reach, unfortunately. So, yeah, I honestly haven't looked up any statistics. I don't know if it's getting better or worse. It just, as you
Yeah.
said, it has hit us in our sphere lately, and it is gut wrenching.
Yeah, it is. So I just want to just again, and I know some people, they can't even process anymore because everyone has been grieving for the Gaudreaus for a while now, like about just over a week or so. But I just want to send the family the condolences and just really appreciate the strength coming from, especially so, the wives and Meredith in this situation.
Yes. Well, thank you for putting it so eloquently. There's no good way to transition away from life and death to sports.
Right.
I'll just say this: we're recording this on Friday morning. You might not hear this by the time the game has been played, but the subject I wrote about was really not about the game. Nafisa Collier and Caitlin Clark going up against each other again, second time in 2 weeks in Indiana on Friday night. And number one, in terms of basketball, they've both elevated themselves this year. Nafisa has gone from being an all-star to being an MVP candidate. leader of one of the best teams and the most surprising team in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark got off to a rough start in the WNBA. Now she's making herself an MVP candidate. But what I'm really, well, I'm not going to say but, in addition to their greatness as basketball players and their leadership and everything else, they're both changing the business of the sport. Caitlin Clark is
Yes.
attracting people. She's the Tiger Woods of women's basketball. She's attracting people who had never watched before, and they're sticking around. She's driving attendance at home. She's driving attendance on the road. She's driving television ratings and revenues, just as she did in college. And Nafisa Collier starting her own league with Brianna Stewart, starting her own league. That's amazing. And especially when you consider the WNBA players don't, it's not like LeBron James can say, hey, here's 10 million. I'm going to go do something,
Right.
this extra 10 million I had in my couch cushion. Nafisa Collier makes a decent living, but she's not rich. But she wants players to have another chance to make money and a chance to make money with having to go play in Russia and get arrested like Brittany Griner did. So these two people are powerhouses, whether you look at them as basketball players or business people.
Right. And, for a long time, and you and I discussed this in the past, that it's a shame that WNBA stars have to go over to Europe to play to supplement their income. That's what people are like, oh, why do they go over to Europe and play? I'm like, because they get money. They get more money to play in Europe for that league time than they do at the WNBA. The majority of them do. Um, remember that year Taurasi didn't even play
Yep.
because her team said, how much will it keep so that you don't have to go back to the States and play in the WNBA for a year? And
Right.
she banked money.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we have Nafisa Collier putting her money where her mouth is, like, hey, here we are in the States. We have all of this talent here. It should be staying here. And that way she has a child. You don't want to be separated or maybe have to haul your whole family over there now. A lot of these WNBA women are now having their own families. So I think it's brilliant. But you bring up Caitlin Clark, and what I love about this new version of the WNBA, shall we say, it's almost like every sport has to go through a revitalization of who their stars are, right? And of course, there's Caitlin Clark. And then if you want to call it her nemesis, Angel Reese, and that brings more attraction in there. So the Lynx had Angel Reese in town recently, and they beat her, even though she got her rebound record, and now they face Caitlin Clark. I just think it's so great for WNBA fans to be like, oh, they're facing Angel Reese. Oh, now they're facing Caitlin Clark again. The last time Caitlin was here is when Maya Moore's number was retired. These are big events and big interest events that are drawing in people that aren't just your typical basketball fans. And I love it. That's how it's kind of rejuvenating this whole league.
Caitlin Clark is a crossover star. She is someone
Mm-hmm.
who, if she does something or says something, it won't just resonate in the women's basketball world. It'll resonate in the men's basketball world. It'll get on ESPN. It'll get on all the talk shows, all the radio talk shows, all the TV talk shows. It will be something that people want to debate. And we can get tired of that realm. We can get tired of the argue everything talk shows. One of the reasons I started TalkNorth.com is I didn't want every show to be about arguing all these silly
Right.
points. I wanted to have real conversations. But the reality is those things drive interest for the casual fan. They get the casual fan interest. They make the casual fan say, instead of, oh, it's women's basketball, I'm not tuning in. Oh, Caitlin Clark, she's going to tick somebody off today. I'm going to watch. That it elevates the popularity of the sport.
It certainly does. And, kind of competition like that, it builds interest too. So this is good basketball. And they also have the drama. They also have the interest. That's exactly what you want.
No doubt about it. All right, I want to talk about the Vikings. I want to talk a little bit about the Twins here, other things going on in the sports world. But I do want to let you know we're coming from the Aquarius Home Services Studios, and I do want to thank our longtime sponsor, longtime supporter of women's sports, Rudy Luther Toyota.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit RudyLutherToyota.com today.
And I want to welcome Natrium. I started using Natrium products long before had any idea they might end up being a sponsor at some point. There are locations around town. Go to natrium.com, Natreum. They also have wildflower stores, pretty much have the same products. You can get sodas with THC or CBD in them. You can get body oils. You can get balms that are antifungal, anti-infectious, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. They help with muscle pain, arthritis, and tendonitis. I personally have way too many headaches, and sometimes I have trouble sleeping. Their products help with my headaches. They help me sleep. I'm also getting older. Don't tell anybody, but I'm getting older.
What?
So it's a really nice. I find that this kind of stuff works so much better than your typical over-the-counter pain relief. It seems to just be a more natural. It just seems your body adapts to it better. They have oil. It's called Happy Guts. It helps with anti-inflammatory stuff with your gut issues. They have quick fix stuff that kind of gives you a quick calm down. You know, if you're somebody who gets stressed when you speak in public or when you're driving in rush hour, all these can help. All natural ingredients, very few ingredients. You know exactly what you're taking. Natrium.com. Check it out. Either go to the store, see what you can order online. I highly recommend it all. Thanks also to Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. I am happy that Minnesota Masonic Charities has chosen Minnesota Bound and this podcast as a place to help spread the word. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
All right, look, you and I are going to be covering the Vikings all year. I don't know what to think of this year in terms of optimism. I guess I'm a little pessimistic about the actual performance of the team, but I also think there are just a million fascinating storylines. Aaron Jones, Stephon Gilmore, Brian Flores with Dallas Turner in the works. Sam Darnold, can he function? How's Justin Jefferson going to look in this offense? What grabs you most about this season?
You know, it's the big question marks. And I know that sounds really lame, but it's exciting for me to see what this team is going to become. So many people want to get our predictions. I don't know about you, Jim. How do you think they're going to do? How do you think they're going to do? And I always say, give me 3 games. You know, it's like that song, Give Me 3 Steps, Mister. It's like, give me 3 games. I have literally no idea. We have not seen what they can do in preseason, obviously, with the starters and everything. So I will be really interested to see, first of all, on the offensive side of the ball, Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson. We've seen little glimpses of it that, we can't put on camera. So it's when the shooting period was done. That's when they could do their group work that we can see. And I really loved that connection. But how's it going to be when you get some defenses in your face? So I'm really interested to see how that offense goes. And you mentioned Stephon Gilmore. I'm also interested to see how Jonathan Grenard will do.
Yep.
So there's just so many question marks, and people are like, why are you so excited about that? I said, because usually when a team comes out and they've got like all these superstars on paper, we hear Minnesota Vikings fans saying, we're going to the Super Bowl. Now it's like, okay, you should really temper that every year anyway, because every season it's different. I have zero idea and zero expectations. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing about this team. I see the guys. I just want to see how they are. And I'll get a good idea of how the season's going to go, probably after the first 2 games, but definitely after 3, And then that's when I give our prediction. And I know that doesn't seem fair, but I've never really wavered from that over the years. It's usually the 3rd game in, because sometimes that first week of football is bad football, Jim. I don't know. In my opinion, it's like, okay, they're still in preseason mode. So I'm in that wait and see mode, but there's so many different, I want to see how Dallas Turner does, especially against Andrew Thomas coming up here in New York, New Jersey. We have Malik Neighbors versus the Vikings secondary. He's their number 6 overall pick in New York. They have a better pass rush. They have Andre Patterson, who's now out there, formerly of the Vikings. But are the Giants even good? I don't know. So everything is on paper. Interesting to see how the Vikings interior line does against Dexter Lawrence. So I have all these question marks, but for me, that's interesting. Like nothing's like, okay, here we go. That's what I thought. And I hate to be pessimistic in any situation in life. So I'm willing to give everything a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm asked by my newspaper and other podcasts to make predictions. I've made my predictions. I hope I'm hope I'm wrong. I hope they're in. Yeah, the thing is, I think they're
What
going
were
to
your
be.
predictions?
Uh,
Was it 7?
well, it's funny because I for the paper I said 6 and 11, and then on I think on one of the football podcasts I think I said 7 and 10 because I forgot I really don't take predictions very seriously because I know
Right, right.
everybody's going to be wrong and it's just
6 or 7. It's in the same ballpark.
6 or 7.
Right?
I could also see them. You know, I don't know. I'm to me the most intriguing aspect of this is just how good Brian Flores' defense could be. Players getting used to his system now with Turner, Van Ginkel, and Grenard, three excellent pass rushers, solid
Mhm.
front seven. Adding Gilmore now, I mean, they're the kind of team that will win some close games and make it more like 8 or 9 victories. But I think the biggest picture thing to watch for this year is not necessarily the record. It's more of the feeling around the team. Because I can see this being a poor season in terms of record, and yet everybody at the end of the season saying, hey, next year we got all these people. We got JJ McCarthy coming back. We have cap space. So, one thing to watch for is this Kwesi and O'Connell going into the last year of their contract after this year.
Right.
But I could see, even if this isn't a great season, I could see the Wilfs and other people being fired up about the possibilities for 2025.
Yes, and even Mark Wilf says he loves what he's seen out of the whole leadership group. Whether it's Quasey, whether it's Kevin. Now, you won't go as far to say is there's not even talks going on now. Some
No,
we even clarified that with them. Like, is there just talks going on and you don't want to talk about it, or you can't? No, like they're not even talking to him about extensions. They're waiting until the year comes to an end. So you know what that means. It's just smart ownership. Let's see what they got. But it's not like in any way, shape, or form that they're unhappy with what's going on. I think you can't predict injuries. You can't look into the crystal ball that way. But it will be interesting, like you said. How does this come to fruition? Are they? I mean, it didn't take the Detroit Lions like overnight to build into the team that they're having now. It took a couple of iterations. So we'll have to wait and see. I really like Brian Flores, and I am intrigued to see what he can do with all this talent. And the defensive front, the D line will be interesting. I know that they have all these masks and stunts and everything that goes on, but sometimes you got to have that girth up front. So, but they tend to be lean and fast and move around. It's kind of the new NFL. So, that intrigues me too. So there's just so many Pandora's boxes open multiple times for me right now that I can't even make a prediction.
yeah,
And I'm not like, one day I could say 6 like you, I could say 7. I might look at them and be like, oh, maybe 8 wins. You just don't know.
nobody knows. I mean, predictions are silly. They're just easy to do, so people do them. I kind of wish we didn't actually, but it's the first thing a fan asks you is what do you think they're going to do. So I can give an answer as long as people understand I don't take the predictions seriously. We can throw it out there.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Twins before we get out today.
Yeah.
So we're going big picture. We're not going to go game by game. They highest probability is they are going to win. They are going to secure a wild card playoff spot. About a 95% chance they're going to win. They're going to make the playoffs at this point going into the weekend with Kansas City, and it's going to be hard for them to track down Cleveland. There is still a good scenario here. I know Twins fans, get really sick of whether it's Pollard not spending or whether it's injuries, whether it's the team not making big trade deadline moves. There's still a very good scenario here, and that is they go into the playoffs with Pablo Lopez pitching great, which he is right now, with the bullpen settled, and with Correa, Buxton back, and with Royce Lewis healthy. If they can go into the playoffs with that team, they could scare some people.
They absolutely can, but the health of those aforementioned players still kind of scare me.
Oh, yeah.
And Byron Buxton getting kicked out of a St. Paul Saints game. in his rehab assignment. I mean, I don't know. I love the fire, but that's never happened as far as I know in the history of minor
He's here
league
to get his
baseball.
work in, and he gets thrown out. I like Byron a lot, but that is not what you want to do on a rehab assignment.
No, and then he just left the park from what I understand. Like, didn't even like just leave the game. He's like, I'm out of here. So didn't even get the work in for that day. So I digress on that. But yes, you also have players that are playing well, like Matt Wallner, Trevor Larnach. I mean, as it stands today on the Friday that we record this, or half a game ahead of idle Kansas City, right, for that second wild card spot in the AL. I think they can hang on if they can get players back. I think that they can catch some teams. But, you know, I hate to throw out this word because it's not stats, it's not sabermetrics, but the chemistry. You know, when you've been ragtagging it all year long about filling in for this injury and that injury, many times it can make your team stronger. And that's what we're hoping. But also, many times, the people that filled in have their own chemistry, and you bring some people back, it takes a little while to get the hiccups back. So I'm just hoping that it's that smooth, like we're all in this, and let's just make hay once we're in the playoffs. That's what I'm hoping. And you keep your fingers crossed that there's no more injuries. And don't get kicked out of any more rehab assignment games. Just get back on the roster for the big team.
And for some kind of inside information, I've talked to some people with the Twins who said basically Correa, they know the foot's not going to be right this year. So the question is, how many games can he play on it? And so I think the goal is not for him to play the most games possible the rest of this regular season. I think the goal is for him to come back in time to be sharp for the postseason. And he's not going to be 100%, but he would still make a big difference if he's in the lineup.
And I want to throw out an FTG, and it's not really to one certain person, but it has to do with baseball. In the Twins game the other night, there was a 13-minute review of whether the guy should be on second or not. Come on, like instant replay. It's supposed to be instant. And like, I know, like, let's quickly look at it. Let's make a determination, not hang out for 13 minutes. That could really affect all the players, but especially a pitcher. Thankfully, it did not go against the Twins. They end up pulling out the victory, but still, that's absurd in my mind. So FTG and the whole crew that took 13 minutes to figure that out.
Oh, that's a good FTG. We're going to get back to doing the FTG every week. Yeah. Sometimes I forget. FTGs are better than predictions. Let's put it that way.
Yes, they are.
All right. Thank you, Dawn. That was a lot of fun. We will talk to you next week. We have a guest lined up. We're hoping we're able to land next week who should be very entertaining. Dawn has done a great job since the beginning of the show, lining up great guests, Jim Cott, Mike Tirico, Chad Greenway, et cetera, plus all kinds of women movers and shakers in the sports world and in the media world. So go back and check out the library of Dawn of Sports shows. You'll enjoy them. And thanks for listening to TalkNorth.com. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.